Hi, everyone. I have a new guest on today, Danny Coleman. We're super excited to have him on the show. He's the mastermind behind Rock on Radio, and he's here today. And welcome to the show, Danny Coleman.
Hey,
Yay. Can you
thank you
give
for,
us a quick rundown of your background and the idea behind Rock on Radio?
thank you for having me. Number one, I appreciate that. Rock on Radio. Well, first, I've been a musician since I was 11. I'm a drummer and a Latin percussion player. I am a radio show host that hosts 4 radio shows, an entertainment journalist for New Jersey Stage Magazine, and I also do a podcast as well. And that's about it, really. I mean, I have 4 different radio shows. I have Rock on Radio, of course, which is internet based. It started on AM radio, but it's now internet based. The Rock on Radio Indie Hour, which is an hour long indie music show, which is also internet based. I have Chip Off the Old Rock and Danny Coleman's Got the Blues, which air on 3 different FM stations here in New Jersey and online as well at jazzon2.org. And the idea for Rock on Radio came about, actually, it came about before I even knew that I'd be starting a radio show, long beforehand. When I was 16, I was at a church carnival over the summer, and there's a radio station here in New Jersey called WPST. Back in the mid to late 1970s, that was the station to listen to. One of the DJs, a gentleman by the name of Dave Heffel, and yes, they were DJs back then because they spun records and played 8-track carts, as they were known. Today we're air personalities. Yeah, but they were DJs back then. And he decided to do a thing called Unsigned Heroes, where he encouraged local bands to send in cassettes of their original music. So myself and my bandmates at the time, a band called Valhalla, we were all in high school. We went into a recording studio owned by a gentleman named Tom Maralda, who is now out in Las Vegas, and he's worked with Image or Imagine Dragons, whatever that band was, and the Toms and members of Bon Jovi and the East Street Band. Tom had the only in-home 24-track recording studio around at the time. It was in Mercerville, New Jersey. We went in, we recorded multiple songs, took them up to WPST, and here I am at this church carnival. And a girl that I went to high school with came over and grabbed me by the arm. And she said, "Listen." What? She drags me over to one of the Wheels of Chance, who had a radio. And there was my band on the radio.
Wow.
And again, radio was a big deal back then.
Yes.
I went numb from head to toe. And I thought, wow, how cool was that?
Wow.
So fast forward to the year 2009, and I had a career-ending back injury, and I had to reinvent myself. So I did. Excuse me. So I did, and began. I had gone to broadcasting school back in 1982, 1983. So I revisited my love for radio, and I began Rock on Radio, where I feature unsigned indie artists. I get occasional calls from established artists or rock and roll Hall of Famers.
Wow.
And I now have been doing Rock on Radio for more than 16 years.
Wow.
I've had close to 800 guests over that time period. And I'm giving other musicians a chance to have their radio or their music played on the radio on multiple platforms. So that's how Rock on Radio had come about. Then from that led to my journalism career, and then that led to podcasting and a couple of YouTube shows I used to do. So yeah, I keep going. I
Wow,
keep on going.
you do so much, and
I
you're
do.
so humble about it too. My God. Who is your favorite band, if you can say, that you had on the show or shows?
Oh, everybody who's come on my show, I've had a great time with the exception of maybe three or four. And over 16 years, that's not bad.
It's pretty good.
However, I have some regular people like Laura Cheadle and her band, Joe Weimer. The Gretchen Embry band has driven all the way up from Delaware a couple of times. I just had a band on this past Sunday, Dez and the Swagmatics. They're a lot of fun. These people
Wow.
are a lot of fun, and I've always had great fun with them. And I do a special show every September. There's an event that used to take place this year for the first time in since it started 10, 11 years ago. It's going to be somewhere different, I understand, but it was called Rock to Adopt, and it used to be at the Popcorn Park Zoo in Lacey Township, New Jersey. And
Oh,
at the Popcorn Park Zoo, they take all the misfits. It's the island of misfit toys. People who thought it would be cool to have a tiger as a pet, and then they realized they couldn't keep it. It winds up at the Popcorn Park Zoo.
I could,
They rescue birds, they rescue animals. So there's like a three-legged deer at this place. There's wingless birds because they either were caught in a wire or they got hit by a car or something. So the popcorn, and it's called that because you can feed the animals popcorn.
oh my gosh.
So Rock to Adopt, every year they have this huge pet adoption day for dogs and cats.
Mm.
And the admission includes, not only the festival, but the zoo and all the popcorn you can throw, that kind of thing. And
Oh,
whenever they come in, it's an insane time. And I have a gentleman named Charles Larita who has written all the songs for my programs. Whenever he comes in with his band, it's like trying to eat soup with a fork.
oh, dear.
It's like I don't know. I lose total control. Them guys just take over.
Wow.
So, but yeah,
Wow. That's not easy to do.
no. And I'm blessed. I've had three engineers over the course of, or four engineers over the course of my program. One when I was on the AM station, another when I first moved to internet radio, and then a third. And he was my engineer for about 6 or 7 years. And unfortunately, he passed away a little more than a year ago. But my producer and engineer now is a woman named Claire Henwood, and she's phenomenal. Phenomenal. So she's really the brains behind what's going on now. She makes my job so easy. All I get to
Hello,
do, I'll
Claire.
have to
Shout out
do is
to
talk.
Claire.
That's it. Yep. So
Well, as a drummer or musician, where do you usually perform?
anywhere that'll have me, essentially. Years ago, when I was in a band, we played everywhere. Now, I actually just joined a band, but I work with several others on an as needed basis. And I fill in, I used to fill in a lot for people, like kind of like a freelance type of thing. But I just joined a band. They needed a drummer. They only do about 7 or 8 gigs a year, so it's perfect.
Uh,
And I had my first rehearsal with them the other night. They're called T-Bone Jam. And this week's radio guest is a guy named John DeRosa. And I do a couple gigs a year with him. So that's basically all I do these days with a drum kit. I do a lot of percussion. I have a gig next week on June 26th at a brewery called Seventh Sun Brewing in Howell Township,
oh,
New
yeah.
Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
So that'll be a percussion thing. So that's with Joe Weimer.
What got you started as a drummer? What age did you start and why?
I
Just
was 11.
11.
and I went to a cousin of my mom got married. And I was at this wedding, and the drummer just captivated me. I was like, wow, how cool is that? And at the end of the night, he gave me his drumsticks.
Wow.
So I went home and started banging on Tupperware containers, uh, pots and pans. And my grandmother lived down the street from a guy that gave drum lessons. So she offered to pay for the first 6 months if I stuck with it. So
Ah.
that's when I began taking drum lessons at about the age, about 11 and a half.
And how long do you take drum lessons for?
Until ever you, I mean, I stopped taking lessons when I was 15
Hmm.
because I had switched teachers because the other teacher was more of a rudimental type of teacher, and I needed to learn how to read music.
That's hard. Yeah.
So, especially drum music.
Oh, yeah.
And from that, I was able to get into the high school marching and concert bands and play in those. That's why I needed to learn how to read music.
Have you met famous people while drumming? While being
Yeah.
who?
Yes. Yes.
Who? If you want to throw a name out there, I'm just curious.
I I've been lucky enough to do a set with. There was a gentleman back in the '70s named Al Stewart. Did
Yes.
a song called "Year of the Cat"
Okay.
and "Time Passages." I did a set of on percussion with him. There's a band called Collective Soul. Well, the singer Ed Roland, he has
Oh.
a side project, a side thing called the Sweet Tea Project.
Uh-huh.
I did a couple songs with him. I was in a Sam Cooke tribute that had members of the band Living Color, Gary U.S. Bonds,
Uh,
uh, Jeffrey Gaines,
uh,
Danelia Cotton, Chris Trapper of the Push Stars, Sarah Dash of LaBelle,
yeah.
and we were in the house band. I was in the house band with the bass player from Living Color,
Wow.
which was a lot of fun. Uh, I've been able to meet. I met Bruce Springsteen on the boardwalk in Asbury Park when I was playing there one night.
Wow.
He happened to come walking by.
Wow.
Uh, I've met John Eddie. There's a bunch, but they're the only ones that I've been involved with musically.
It's fantastic. If you're a writer, I think you said you are, what genres do you usually write about? What do you write about?
I interview either a musician,
Okay.
an author, an actor, an actress, uh,
Hmm.
anybody in the entertainment field, and I put it into a column that's called Rock On This Week's Sound Bites, which I publish every Thursday on NewJerseyStage.com.
Oh,
And I publish my interview with this person, and then I list all of the venues I can find here in New Jersey in Mercer and Burlington County, as well as Bucks County, Pennsylvania, because that's only 10 minutes over the river from where I live. So and it all goes in that way.
interesting. So if I want to if I want to see your interviews, read your column, where did you say I can find that? Just curious.
You can go to my website, which is Danny Coleman's rockonradio.com,
Mhm.
with a quick link, much easier,
Right.
DCROR.com. And everything I do is there, from my writing to the radio shows to I make chili, and I've won quite a few chili contests.
Ah,
All the things I have my stubby little thumbs in, you can find there. And once again, my producer, she handles the website. So
wow, that's wonderful.
yep.
Yeah. Take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. He does so much. It's amazing. Let's see. And if someone wants to book a spot on your show, where can we find you? Where can we reach you?
You can go to the website and send me an email. You can go right there and do that. Or you can send an email to decoentertainment.com.
Huh.
Deco Entertainment is the actual, I do the show from the 2-track studios of Deco Entertainment. Deco is a distribution record label. They're an arm of Warner Brothers Records, and
Oh,
they graciously allow me to set up shop and do the radio show from there once a week.
wow.
So,
That's in New Jersey?
yeah, that's in Hunterdon County in New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay, so all your work and all your shows, they're all virtual or meet and greet in person, some of them.
Well, the radio show, I did Rock on Radio. I did that live
Okay.
right up until COVID.
Ah,
And then the space we were in at that time kicked us out
ah,
because they didn't want, they had the whole social distancing, no more than 3 people at a time. Yeah.
mm,
So we literally went 6 feet underground and went to my engineer's basement,
ah,
and I began doing everything via phone ins and interviews that I do with the people for my column. I just started that way. So after COVID, we went back to the studio that we were in that threw us out, which was in Heightstown. And they wound up throwing us out again because they said we had too many people.
ah.
They didn't want any more than 6 people. Well, I can have a band and they've got 5 pieces, and I got a producer, myself, and an engineer. That's 8. Yeah. So, and my producer and my engineer both said they would prefer not to do the show on Sundays anymore because it was live Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m.
Mm.
So I've been pre-recording the show for the last 4 or 5 years on Wednesday evenings, and then it airs the Sunday immediately following.
Ah, that's smart.
So if anybody wants to reach out to me or send me music, they can do it through my website or by going to Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio at gmail.com. Or like I said, through Deco Entertainment.
Oh, that's interesting. And are you very busy? I mean, how do you find time for anything? My goodness, with all this going on. How do you do it?
Keeps me out of trouble, Sylvia. Keeps
Oh,
me out of trouble.
wow. My
No,
God.
it does keep me busy.
I can
I,
imagine.
I
Definitely.
record on Wednesdays. My column is due by Thursday, so Monday and Tuesday, and mostly Wednesday during the day, I prep the column. I do interviews all interspersed through there that way, and sometimes Fridays and Saturdays I may gig. I have a gig here or there, sometimes during the week,
Hmm.
or I'll begin on for the following week's column. I also have to pre-record the Rock on Radio Indie Hour and the Blues Music Show because there too, ever since COVID, they didn't want anybody in the studios, so I pre-record it and I upload it to the stations myself. So
Okay, so let's go through each individual show. So there's the Rock on Radio show, right? There's 4 shows, right? There's Rock on Radio show. Is it on a podcast? Where can we find that? And what is the length of that show? I want to go through each individual show so the audience knows.
Rock on Radio is a 2 hour
Okay.
in studio interview with an unsigned band, artist, entertainer, comedian, anyone that's in the entertainment field, mostly music. Over the course of 2 hours, they come in, they play live, or play cuts from tracks that they send me, or a combination of both. That can be found on 2 places, thepenguinrocks.com and decoentertainment.com. Now, I also have 12 affiliates,
Wow.
8 here in the US and 4 over in the United Kingdom, who air the show the whole following week. So on Sundays, I send them a show file and they put it on their stations throughout the week. I got a new partner, Radio Garden State, here in New Jersey, and they air my shows 10 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So every other day.
Now,
You get
where do they air it? It's on the radio? Is it a podcast?
on their sites, and most of it's internet based.
Okay.
So you can either listen to it on your laptop, your cell phone, your tablet, in your car,
Okay.
whatever you want to do.
So, okay.
That's
So, what about the next three shows? There's a blues
so
one.
then the Rock on Radio Indie Hour,
Okay.
I prep right here and I send off to 6 different stations that air it.
Now,
Two over in the
what is that? What is the indie hour?
I play nothing, but I have, as I'm looking right over here, you can't see it, but right over here,
Uh-huh.
I have 8 tubs, big, the real big Rubbermaid tubs,
Yeah.
not the little tiny ones that fit under your bed, but the deep
The big
ones
ones. Yeah.
of nothing but CDs and thumb drives that people have sent me their music over 16 plus years.
Oh,
Plus,
no.
I get a dozen emails a day. Will you play my music? Here's this, here's that. So, what I decided was this is some really good stuff. It needs to be heard.
Yeah.
So, about 5 or 6 years ago, I created the Rock on Radio Indie Hour.
Okay.
And I'd play for an hour, I'd play all the music from my collection that has been
Wow.
sent to me.
Oh, my. And
As
we
as
can hear that
long
on
as
the podcast. We can hear that on the podcast.
you can hear that on the, if you go to my website, dcror.com, and click on the tab for the Indie Hour, it'll show you the stations that you can hear it on.
What hour is that on? Or it doesn't matter. We can hear it
I,
anytime,
yeah, you
right?
can hear. Well, I no, because the affiliates, if you want to hear it anytime, go to the penguinrocks.com and click on radio shows and scroll down till you see my shows. You'll see Rock on Radio, you'll see the Indie Hour, and there's a whole bunch of other radio shows based around New Jersey artists as well.
Tell me more. What else?
If Well, then Danny Coleman's Got the Blues is on 3 different FM stations. So
Mm-hmm.
it's on terrestrial radio, one in Trenton, WWFM, one in Toms River, WWNJ, and one down in Cape May. I want to say that's WWCJ, maybe. But you can hear that online at jazzon2.org. That's Monday nights at 7 and Monday mornings at 7. So
Wow.
7 a.m. and 7 p.m., you can hear Danny Coleman's Got the Blues. Apparently, I'm very big overseas.
Really?
Apparently, I've got a large listenership in Helsinki,
Wow.
Moscow, Finland, and somewhere in Japan.
Go
There's
for
another one in Japan.
what kind of music you play.
Blues music.
I like the
Blues
blues. Yeah.
music. They like anything American, or at least I'm told by a lot of people I interview that go over there and tour. They love American music.
That's nice to hear.
Mhm. And
Wonderful.
then chip off the old rock I do once a month.
What's that?
That's the third Sunday of every month. It's a 2-hour program. I interview one artist the first hour, one artist the second hour. If they're a musician, we play 2 or 3 songs during their hour, and that wraps it up.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow. I think I have to go on now and check out all four sites
All my programs.
because the music these days is a little different from when I was growing up. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not so into it anymore. I like the oldies and some new stuff that's good. I'm not going to say it's not true, but maybe it's on his show. So I'll have to tune in. So you play old music and new music, right? What kind of new music do you play?
It's all unsigned independent artists, so it's all original.
Hmm.
You're not going to hear Bon Jovi on my station. You're not going to hear Bruce Springsteen. You're not going to hear, well, on the blues show you might hear Led Zeppelin,
Oh,
but that's different. The blues show is established artists,
hmm,
but Rock on Radio and the Rock on Radio Indie Hour are all original artists.
interesting. Now, who manages all these shows? You do it yourself or it's that
I
lady?
do. I do. And Claire helps me, like I said, with the website. We both do our social media, and she handles the in studio. She's my engineer, my producer. So,
Where can we reach you on the social media sites? Are you on any social media sites?
well, Facebook is Danny Coleman's Rock on Radio
Okay.
2, the number 2.
Number two.
The number 2, Rock on Danny Coleman's Rock on Radio 2. Instagram is at Rock On Radio, all one word, all capital letters.
Mhm.
I had a Twitter where I had like over 5,000 followers, but somebody hacked it. And when they hacked it, they I contacted Twitter and they said, "Well, this is too far gone. There's nothing we can do about it." So now I have people telling me that everything that they go to my Twitter account, it's nothing but Japanese.
Yes, I wanted to tell you that the other day. I
So
said,
yeah,
wonder if he knows. Yeah, it is.
yep,
So
not
that's
correct.
who hacked it, I guess. Uh, yeah. What else can you add? What am I missing?
Oh, I don't know. What would you like to know? I could I could tell you anything.
Tell me anything. Tell me anything.
I have. It's I really. There are times I celebrated the program's 15th anniversary last year,
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
and back in April
Yeah,
of 24 was 15 years.
yeah.
And I'm never. There have been so many times over the last few years where I thought, as an artist or what I do with radio type of thing, you go through periods where you think, am I even relevant anymore? Is anybody listening? Does anybody care? And then there's always one thing that happens that sucks me right back in.
Yeah.
Somebody will say, you changed my. I was sitting home a couple of weeks ago and I got a text message from a guy who my show was 2 months old. So this would have been June of '09.
Oh,
And I got a text from this guy the other day. In June of '09, he sent me an email. And the email went to my spam folder. And something told me I needed to open it. So I did. And he told me this story about growing up without a father and him and his brother. And the reason why he calls himself this is because whenever something bad happened in the neighborhood, they said, "Oh, it must be that Williams boy again."
oh boy.
And he found a guitar in a closet in a welfare tenement
Hmm.
and he just started playing it. And today he's one of the best songwriters I have ever heard in my life.
Oh, really? I wonder who it
And and him and he just texted me about 2 weeks ago to this day thanking me for giving him a chance.
Ah,
And I'm like, I really didn't give you a chance. I just gave you the platform. You did with it what you needed to do.
wow.
And he's always fun to come on the show. Rick Winowski, otherwise known as Rick Winnow, he's a
Wow.
piece of work. Rick and I can't be in the same room together. It leads to debauchery and
Oh my gosh. Oh my
and a
gosh.
lot of
Well,
fun. But
you are fantastic. Thank you so much. We're running out of time. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And I was on your show yesterday. Thank you for that as well.
that'll be up soon.
Yes, what a pleasure it was. We're going to say goodbye now. And please, everyone, subscribe, book some more 1818. We're on YouTube, Spotify. Throw in a comment, hit a like, share with your friends. Would be nice. And thank you for coming on the show. Let's give a warm
Thank you for having me.
a shout out to Claire again.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Bye
Thank you for
now.
having me. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much, audience. Please like, comment, and share. Bye now, everyone.